So let us do one more example on the C class, one more example on the submitting question. Well, let's take an example. You are given some address 195.10.10.194/128. So I'm supposed to find the subnet mask. Probably in the submitting questions, you will be asked any one of these things. So I'm just trying to cover up all the little bit possible questions in the subnetting. Now for all your answers, the clue is /1/value. So to find the subnet mask, so the first let us start with subnet mask. To find the subnet mask, we need to take /28. So we can write it as 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 4. So the subnet mask will be 255, 255, 255. 4 bits if we add 240 will be the subnet mask. Okay. So the subnet mask is this. And how many hosts per subnet? So we can do a little bit faster here because we did some basic example in our previous video. So the host per subnet will be 2 to the power of h minus 2. So the first thing I need to find the h value. So to find the h value, we need to subtract from total bits. I'm going to subtract the slash value, that is 28. So it's going to be 4. So the size of the network is 2 to the power of 4 minus 2. So it will be 16 minus 2. So the 14 will be the answer. 14 is your valid host addresses. Okay. So I got the value here. Okay. So the answer is 14. So I got the next requirement. This is the first and this is the second answer. And the third one, I need to find how many subnets I should get. Now to find the subnets, we need to take the 2 to the power of n value. That is, n is your converted network bits. Now to find the n bits, the default slash value is 28. Again, it is a C class example. So in C class, by default, there are 24 network bits and 4 are converted network bits. That is my n value. So I'm going to take this 4 to the power of 4. It will be to the power of 4, 16 subnets. So the answer is I'll get around 16 subnets if I divide my network in FLSN. And the next thing is we need to find the network ID and the broadcast ID. So to find the network ID and the broadcast ID, let me take this address here. So this is our question. So let us find out the network ID and the broadcast ID. So network ID, broadcast ID, to find that we need to know how to write the range. So the range always written based on the 2 to the power of h value. Now here the h value is 4, that is the 16 is the size of the network. So by seeing here itself, we can say from 32, if I subtract 28, I get 4 host bits. Okay, so the size of the network, we need to write multiples of 16 because it's a small size. So I'm going to say multiples of 16, 0, 16, 32, 48. So no need to write, we can just skip most of the numbers because we need to go to till 194. So it will be a waste of time to write all those things. I'll go with the nearest multiples of 16, that is 160, 16 tens 160. And I can write 176. And the continuation I'll write here 176. 176 plus 16, it will be 192, and then 192 plus 16, it will be 208. So now if you see, we need to get till 194. So 194 is coming in between 192 and 207. So which means this is my network ID. So which means 192 is my network ID and 207 will be the broadcast ID because my 194 is coming in between these two, because this 194 is coming in between these two. So let us write down a little bit fair network address. So the network ID for this address will be 195.10.10.192 with slash value of 28. That is my network ID, and the broadcast ID will be, so the broadcast ID will be 195.10.10.207 with a slash value of 28. So we cannot use 192, we cannot use 207 because they are the network IDs and the broadcast IDs. So this is how we calculate. For C class examples or B class examples, it's going to be the same calculations. So I got some questions for you. Probably you can try these questions here. Anyway, I'll be getting into one more example where I'll be covering some B class, those kind of examples anyway. Like here, Okay, so this is how we calculate. So if you see the calculations here, there is no much difference in the calculations like we did in the previous example or this example. But whenever you are writing the range, this is a little bit more complicated way to find out the network ID in the broadcast IDs. Because when you're writing the range, we don't need to write the complete range. We can skip most of the numbers in between to reach the nearest possible number as per our question. Okay, so probably you may have some questions like you may ask some questions in the submitting, like the question will be, let's say, what is the last usable IP address of this range? So last usable IP means 207 I cannot use, I can use 206, so the answer will be 206. Or if the question says last second usable IP address, second usable means before 205, this is the first last usable, second last usable will be 205. So you might find some questions a little bit more tricky when you read some submitting questions online. Okay, but at the end, the way you calculate or to find the subnets or to find the range, I generally prefer this method, the same method which we used in our step-by-step calculations.